Hello, good afternoon, and welcome. I keep telling myself that I'm going to do my hair one day. I have curly hair, so I keep saying I'm going to put my products in it and diffuse it and make it look good for a video, so maybe it doesn't always look like I wear something over my head. But as we can see, I still haven't made the jump to do that, so we're not doing that today. But I do have on a brand new top that I absolutely love, very shiny. That is perfect for my goblin brain, and a beautiful scarf. And we're gonna get right into this video. A lot of people would call this the mid-year book freakout tag, I believe, but I am just going to keep referring to it as my mid-year book review because I am skipping some of the questions that I just don't find relevant to my own reading. But without further ado, let's just hop right into it. There's really no introduction needed for this. I'm just answering a bunch of questions. First of all, I'm going to start by telling you guys how many books I have read already this year. I should have already had this information prepared before I turn the camera on. Okay, so far this year I have finished 24 books. And that's perfect. I had a goal this year of 12 books. I just wanted to read really good books and books that I enjoyed reading. I didn't want to read just to keep consuming. I didn't feel the need for that. So I've been trying to slow down and take my time more this year, but obviously we're still at 24, and I think that's great. I'm currently reading 5 books, so that number will hopefully go to 29 very soon. But alas, so far we've read 24 books. So now I'm going to start actually answering the questions. The first question this year is, what is the best book that you have read in 2026? And I am so very pleased to tell you that The Everlasting by Alix E.Harrow has been my absolute favorite book of the year so far. I believe that Alix stole the spot as my favorite author sometime last year, after I finished The Starling House. Incredible book. I've read all of Alix's books, actually, all of them, even her novellas, and I just adore her as an author. But this book was so good. We're following Sir Una, a knight, and Owen, who is a scholar, and they sort of just keep getting sucked back into these timelines, and Una is almost a mythological character, and her life is the basis on what their society has been built upon. And there's a really corrupt leader. So good. If you want a female knight, if you like portal fantasy, where you're being drawn back into times that you did not actually exist in, this is an absolutely phenomenal book and my favorite book of 2026 so far. The next question is, what is the best sequel you have read so far? I looked through my log and I discovered that I've only read 4 sequels this year, so I have a very short list to choose from, and yet I still can't choose one. So we're going to start with one that I don't think I need to tell you about, and that is Sunrise on the Reaping. I will say I don't believe this book emotionally moved me as it did most of its readers, but I still thought it was an absolutely fantastic book, as are all of her books, and I'm so excited for the movie. So that's the first one that I'm going to give. And then the second one, I read it and I can't not add it. That's The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. Also don't need to tell you anything about this. I still haven't read The Return of the King, but hopefully. So these would be my 2 best sequels so far this year. The next question is there any books, new releases that have come out in 2026 that I want to read, but I still have not gotten around to? And I do have just a short list of those. Let me tell you about them. First is Land by Maggie O'Farrell. I read Hamnet last year and absolutely loved her writing, and I read like the first chapter-ish of Land, and I think I'm really going to enjoy it, so I'm excited to pick that one up later. Also, The Unicorn Hunters by Katherine Arden. I've never read anything by Katherine Arden. I've always wanted to read her Bear and the Nightingale series, but something about The Unicorn Hunters is absolutely drawing me in, so I'm looking forward to that one as well. And the last book that I have not picked up yet, but I am hoping to, is Seasons of Glass and Iron by Amal El-Mohtar. I love Amal El-Mohtar's writing, and I know this is a collection of short stories, and I am just very excited to finally pick that up. I just haven't gotten my hands on a copy yet, but when I do, I'll probably read it immediately. And then the next question is, are there any new releases in the second half of the year that I am excited to look into, that I'm excited for? And I will say I'm not very good about keeping up with what's coming out and who's releasing new things, unless it is just a book that really grabs my attention and I'm incredibly excited about. But I have seen a couple, and so I'm going to tell you about those. First is Notes on a Colonial Situation in Hell. I don't know if it's the name or the cover that's really getting me about this one, but I am excited to see what that one might be about. And then the other one is Silencio by, I think, Clyo Mendoza. If I'm saying that incorrectly, please let me know. But Clyo Mendoza, it just looks very intriguing. Again, I think the cover might be grabbing me on this one, but both of them look phenomenal, and I'm very excited to see what those are about and hopefully love them. Next, we have what book has been the biggest disappointment for you this year? And I do indeed have two, and I don't think anybody's going to be very happy about my answer on either of these. First, I read We've Always Lived in the Castle. I listened to this on audiobook one day, all in one sitting, and it just wasn't for me. I don't guess. Everybody really seems to love that little story by Shirley Jackson, and I just don't think it was for me. That's really all I have to say. So yeah, I didn't love that one. And second was Bunny by Mona Awad. I just needed more, or more of what mattered. I just didn't really vibe with it. I didn't really like it. There was a time when I first started reading it that I was like, oh yeah, this is great. Like, I really like the weird vibes. But then as we really got into the story, I was like, what's even happening right now? What am I reading? Why am I reading it? I feel like I'm wasting my time. So those would be my two biggest disappointments so far this year. Hopefully we don't have many more. Those are my only two this year so far. So hopefully it stays that way. The next question we have on this list is, what books have been my biggest surprises this year? And I have two again. I talked about this one a little bit in my Summer Ween video that I just posted, and that was Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. I am never really drawn in by vampire stories. I've read a few that I've liked. I've read a lot that I haven't liked. I just don't get the same draw to it that other people do. They don't have me under their spell, you know? But this one was just great. I don't know if it was that it was very much set in a Pride and Prejudice era, and sometimes that sort of Regency setting can get me, regardless of what the story is actually about. Or if it was just that it didn't really have a lot to do with vampires at all. If you squinted, it might not have even been about vampires. Maybe it wasn't, and since it's a Carmilla retelling, I just assume it's vampires, but I don't know. This one was really good, and I really enjoyed it. And so if Kat Dunn has any more horror novels, then I might be picking those up. We will see. And then the next surprise of the year that I'm looking at it now, and I'm wondering if it's not so much a surprise, because I know that I really like this genre of book. I think maybe I was just concerned about not liking it, and so when I did absolutely love it, I was very relieved. And that's The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. I know it's been out for a while, and I know that there are several more of them. I think a third one is coming out later this year. But yeah, it was just so good. It was cozy. I think that maybe what surprised me about it is I absolutely love Legends of Lattes. I love that book. I love his work. I love I love it. I don't know if I'm in the majority or the minority there, but I do indeed love Legends and Lattes. And I've read several other cozy fantasies since reading those books, and I just have not found one that really had the same qualities that I liked in Legends and Lattes, but this one did. And I think that that might be what surprised me the most, is that I actually was able to find another cozy fantasy that was actually a cozy fantasy and not just claimed to be one. So this was my other surprise of the year, and I absolutely loved both of these books. And then I think I'm just going to really quickly go through the next couple of questions because I don't really have a lot to say. One of the questions was, who is my favorite new character? And I think I would absolutely have to say Kaz, the sentient spider plant from the Spellshop. He reminded me a lot of Calcifer, and how could I not love him? And then the next question is, do I have a new favorite author this year? I don't know how legal it is for me to say this, considering I've read one of their books that they co-authored, and I'm only halfway through the only solo book that I've ever read of theirs, but that is Sir Terry Pratchett. I absolutely love Good Omens, which is co-written by him. And I've always wondered what quality in Good Omens I really like. I love the footnotes, how it's a very witty kind of, you have to really be looking to catch some of the things that they say. And I always wondered which one of the authors that came from. And I am very, very thankful that it did come from Terry, because reading this book, I've been reading Guards. Reading this book from the Discworld series, I have discovered that I do believe that it is Terry's magical and wonderful writing that I love in Good Omens and that I love in all of his other books. So I'm looking so forward to reading more of this book and more of the Discworld series, hopefully reading all of it in its entirety by the time I die, maybe, who knows? But very excited for those and absolutely loving Terry's writing. And then the next two, real quick. One question was, is there a book that made you cry this year? And I think I have to say no. I know a lot of people would be expecting Sunrise on the Reaping, but like I said, it just didn't have the emotional toll that it does for most people. So I really don't think I've cried at a book this year. I think that's pretty normal for me, but I don't think I have. And then the next question is there a book that has made you happy this year? And I do have two. Actually, I have two. One, as I was saying, I reread Legends and Lattes during the ice storm that we had up here in January, and it was just a good little cozy read, being stuck in the house, it's cold outside. It was just great, and it lifted my spirits. It always does when I read it, and I just adore this book. I love it. And then the next one is another one of my favorite authors, which is Amal El-Mohtar. I read The River Has Roots. This was just a lovely little fantasy folk tale. It reminded me a lot of the book Half a Soul, and it was just cozy, and it was cute, and it was the exact kind of folk tale that you want to read. This is what I imagine is read around a campfire, telling our children and grandchildren, our descendants later on in life. But this one I loved it. It made me so happy to be reading fantasy. And I think I've got 3 questions left on this list. The next question that I wasn't quite sure if I was going to answer because I don't really have an answer for it. But it's, do I have a new book crush? And I have written down here in my notes that I am very unsure if I have a crush on this person or if I really want to be this person. I think I'm leaning towards I want to be them. I want to embody them. And that would just be Sir Una Everlasting. She's witty and she's stoic, but she has a tender side, and I think she loves life and she loves what she does, and I really like Una. I think I really would like to embody more of Una. So maybe we'll try that later on in life. But so not necessarily a crush, more like a wanting to be them. Anyway. And then a question I've been very excited to answer is, what is the most beautiful book I have bought this year? And I've got 2 answers for that. I will say I'm hoping to acquire the UK edition of The Unicorn Hunters, which is absolutely gorgeous. If you haven't seen it, you should look at it. I love the American version too, but I think that the UK version is superior for this specific book. So when I get that, that would be my answer. But other than that, it is about time for my yearly reread of this book, and so recently I purchased the 75th anniversary edition of The Hobbit, which in itself is pretty simple. It's pretty plain. There are prettier books, but just to have this such an original illustration on it for the cover is so beautiful. I do already have the illustrated editions by Alan Lee, but then to just have a totally separate copy of The Hobbit that has beautiful illustrations in it is just something to die for, and I am just so happy that I picked this one up, so I'm very excited for my summer reread of that. And then second, I picked this book up. I had never heard of it before, but I was browsing one day and I saw it and I couldn't not pick it up. And that is The Resurrectionist by E.B. Hudspeth. I had never really heard of it before, but it is apparently a sort of faux biography of this Dr. Spencer Black, who was apparently a resurrectionist, maybe. And while the book itself is not, like, the outside of it is not quite, the most amazing thing ever, there are illustrations of these mythical creatures that he apparently found throughout his life and his work in the back of the book, and they are beautiful. So that's crazy. So it seems like he just documented the different creatures that he found throughout his work, and that maybe this is like a faux biography of him post-mortem, just sharing what he found, his findings, and the illustrations that he had of these creatures. But anyway, I'm so excited to get into reading this book. The aesthetics of it are just beautiful, and I am very excited. And then last but not least, are there any books that I still need to read before the end of 2026? And the answer to that is yes, there absolutely are. I believe that I have about 5 with me that I'm going to share, and they are just the 5 that are at the top of my priority list for the rest of this year. First, we're going to start out with The Ministry of Time. I have yet to read a time travel novel. If you don't count The Everlasting, I have yet to read a time travel novel in 2026. So I still need to get on that. That is a priority. I also am a bit intimidated by this book, but I very much want to read The Overstory by Richard Powers. I again have no idea what it's about, but the cover has beautiful trees on it. And I think that's really just drawing me in. So that's another priority. I don't know how all of these can be priority, but they are. Next is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I currently own all of her works, all of her published works, and I've only read the Poppy War trilogy. So I really want to read this one this fall, get into a little dark academia vibe, and I'm very excited for this one. Next, I was able to pick this book up in Chicago. I have had it on my TBR for quite a while, and that is Ice by Kavan, I'm not quite sure, but I'm just excited. I keep collecting books about snow and ice and glaciers, and I've been watching a lot of videos about Antarctica and Drake's Pass and these beautiful glaciers in Alaska, and I'm just enthralled by it, and so I'm very excited for more snow and ice books. Leading up to the winter, might be reading some this summer to combat the heat. We'll see, but very excited for this book. And then the last book that I will be talking about today is one that I've already said that I need to read, and that is The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have not finished the trilogy, and I need to get on that because I'm not letting myself watch the movies until I have finished the books. And so I've only watched the first Lord of the Rings movie, and it kills me every time I think about it. But I am just very excited to finish this up and actually hear the story that I rave about all the time, because I don't even know it. But I'm very excited to get back into this. But yeah, so those are the books that I still need to read this year. those are the books that I have read this year. I'm very excited to continue reading this year of 2026, and I'm excited to keep documenting it on here. I know I was a little bit MIA for a while, but I have loved coming back to doing this, and I hope to keep doing it. So hopefully someone will hold me accountable to that. But that is everything I have for you today, and I will see you next time.